All right, all right, all right. What's good? What's good? What's good? You are now watching J.U.K Sports Show. I'm your host, King Ralph, here with my co-host and the homie Tar. What's good? How you feeling, Brody?
I'm good, man. Got to start school tomorrow. Shout out to all the teachers out there.
Hey,
We educate the youth. We start school tomorrow, so you know,
you
prepping for
are
next week.
appreciated. You are appreciated. All right, but we back in this thing. Episode 1, brand new season. Season 3, we in this thing. And like we always do, if you want to do a podcast like what you're watching, music video, photo shoot, call the number on the bottom of the screen, 707 Fit Boxer. And I got a new sponsor coming next week, W Energy Drink. Shout out to them. But also, as well, like, subscribe, comment, share, all that good stuff. Need the engagements, need to pick up the engagements. But like the Facebook page, the He Say, She Say channel, He Say, She Say podcast coming back soon. Make sure you go and subscribe at Juke Media on Instagram. Follow us at Juke Sports Show on Instagram. I think subscribe on YouTube. My fault. Subscribe on YouTube. And then follow me everywhere, KYNGRALPH, add an underscore for X or Twitter. And Olympics coming to the end on a lot of different things, getting into the medal rounds. And so Team USA obliterates, destroys Brazil. It really wasn't that close for majority of the game. They really had 20-point leads. Brazil was able to get it to within 8-6, and then it was just like it ballooned back up. So do you expect Team USA to steamroll the rest of the competition?
So I think you got to look at the rest of the competitors first who they're going to be playing. So their next game they play Serbia. We all know that's Jokic's team, and they did beat Jokic and Serbia handily already in the Olympics. I think it was like what 120 something 80. The one thing that kind of concerns you a little bit is that I don't think Joel Embiid wants any part of Jokic, but outside of that, that's all of a sudden the games where Embiid becomes a little bit lazy is against Jokic, right? Then you kind of want to start putting Anthony Davis in there more. But Jokic is just one person, and it's like, and I think today, or yesterday, whenever they played, he sparked a 24-point comeback, something like that.
Yeah.
Right. So that's impressive, but it's also kind of alarming when you kind of fall down by 24 as well. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know what kind of Serbia. Yeah. So I don't know what kind of Serbia we're getting, and Team USA has already played them well. And that team is obviously going to go as far as Jokic and Bogdanovic and them takes them, right? So I definitely think Team USA can beat them or will beat them. And then what you have France and who does France play? They play Germany, right?
Germany.
I think Germany may end up being their toughest competition. Like with France, you have Wemby. They just put Rudy Gobert on the bench. And so you have Wemby, you have, some other NBA players that's on that team. With Germany, the way Dennis Schroeder and the way that what's the guys on the Orlando Magic, the two brothers?
Oh, Wagner. The
Wagner,
Wagners.
there you go, Franz Wagner. The way that they play in the Olympics, it's just they're a different level on the Olympics.
Yeah.
Like I want to call Dennis Schroeder the best guard in the Olympics when it comes to Olympics. Like it's just like how we give certain players playoff P, like Paul George playoff P. This is Olympic Dennis, like or Olympic Schroeder, because he goes off in the Olympics. He doesn't really do this in the league that much, but when it comes to the Olympics, he goes off. So I think that Germany to me was the team that humbled Team USA in a way, like last year during FIBA. Just their height, their overall height and their body, and the way that they could shoot from the outside, and the way, like I said, Dennis Schroeder plays. And they're a team that could give Team USA fits, but the problem with Team USA is they just have way too much depth, and they're skillful at every position, that they're a hard team to beat. Right. And I do see it being a blowout just because they're such a hard team to beat. It's like we're talking about NBA superstars versus NBA role players in a lot of the aspects. And even though in certain aspects, you look good against certain people, the day that Team USA got Kevin Durant back, it just changed everything. Kevin Durant, imagine Kevin Durant being your sixth man. It's like not fair. Right.
Yeah.
And we're gonna get ready to talk about what Draymond Green said, and it's like it's kind of hard to go into a roster where you have so much depth and guys who are superstars in the league, all of a sudden having to play role player positions, right? Where you're asking somebody like a Dennis Schroeder, who's not typically a star, to be a star. So it's kind of hard when you're going to be a superstar elite level talent versus role players. So steamroll, I definitely think that Team USA has the makings for it is to be like a blowout Olympics just because of the skills that we play. And like the guys we don't play, for example, like Tyrese Halliburton would start on all of these teams. And the fact that he doesn't even play is scary, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think that it is one of those things where anything can happen when in a game where it comes down to one and done. These European players, I was talking about it with my boy Chris earlier today. Like I was watching the game, like Yabusele turned into LeBron James in this game. He was dominant in the paint, hitting threes, grabbing rebounds. And like you said, Gobert didn't even play. Wemby didn't even have a good game. And so Isaiah Cornier, Yabusele, Fournier, like Fournier in the I guess crunch time when it really mattered, he took over the game, hit like a logo Dame Lillard type shot to seal the game. It was GG's in the chat after that, pretty much. And so I think when it really comes down to it, I think, like you said, we're just going to be too deep, pause, in the end. But anything can happen in these moments where people are playing for their country and it's a lot of pride on the line. I do think Germany has the best bet, but also Wemby and Rudy Gobert do cause a challenge that really only Embiid can match that type of height and size in the end. And so I do think that they should steamroll everybody, but you never know what can happen when it comes to a one and done situation. And so you brought up Draymond Green. Draymond Green on his podcast brought up some criticism when it came to Steve Kerr and not playing Jason Tatum, then starting him and not playing Joel Embiid. And so it leads to the question, is it fair or foul in his criticism? And I believe it's completely fair.
It's definitely fair, but at the same time, when you are so deep as a team, it's hard. You're kind of going by like roster restrictions, and sometimes too, you're kind of banking on. I hope this person. Not you don't hope this person gets hurt, but oh my god, like Drew Holiday has an ankle injury, so we won't play him, right? So you're kind of betting on that for somebody to not play, right? Because you have so many deep players, and the thing about Team USA, their best players are all wings. All of them are wings, right? In America. Imagine if they would have had Kawhi Leonard. It would have been difficult to even understand where to put everybody, right? Because Kawhi Leonard plays the same position as LeBron, who plays the same position as Kevin Durant, who plays the same position as Devin Booker, who plays the same position as Jason Tatum. So it's like now that's been our problem in the past. We lack a big. We're not a big team physically inside. That some games you need height. Some games you need a wing player, like good wing defenders. Some games, you need other aspects where Team USA doesn't really. Their strength isn't their center position, right? You got the best center in the league, one of the best centers in the league, Joel Embiid, but he's been dragging ass, kind of, right? So you don't really have like a lot of depth, and if all your depth comes from one position, it's hard to kind of formulate certain positions. And then there are games where Kevin Durant, he was hot, like he scored 20 something points. How do you take that out? LeBron has been playing out of his mind. Like we've seen him in the prelims playing out of his mind. How do you take that out, right? And then you have the aspect of this is going to be LeBron and Steph Curry's like last Olympic, more than likely. So you kind of want to give them their shine and let them fill the Olympic stage in a bit, right? Where I feel like Jason Tatum and Tyrese Halliburton, they're going to be here for the long haul, right? So they're going to be on these next couple of teams, right? So it's more so you kind of want to get the older guys their fill. You kind of want to give certain guys the hot hand their minutes. So everybody can't play. And unless there's games like today where it's a blowout, then okay, then we can then clear the bench and let everybody play. But it's really hard to allocate minutes when you have a team that is so talented and it's so stacked at one position.
100%. Yeah, I agree with you, bro. I think that I think the criticism is fair, but at the same time, it's kind of hard to get everybody minutes. It's like I seen Charles Barkley talking about it as well, and I feel like I agree with him to a certain degree, where I think early in the game, 5 in, 5 out is a good way to go until it starts to get, once you get into the groove of the game, then it's like, all right, you can kind of mix and match your matchups based on what's going on, who's hot, who's not, and go from there. Because I don't think 5 in, 5 out is going to be able to, you ain't gonna be able to run through the competition the way that is matched up in the way that the game has grown at this point in time. And so moving on, I got my top 10 edge rushers. I've already posted because I tried to record and I had some issue last week. I had some issues as far as my connection problems. But I recorded and posted my top 10 wide receivers. You can see that on the J.U.K Sports Show. You can see that on my personal page as well. But I got the top 10 edge rushers. And so I go bottom up, 10 all the way to the 1. And so at 10, although we thought he was on a little bit of a decline, I got Khalil Mack, 17 sacks last year, 21 tackles for loss, 10 pass deflections, 5 forced fumbles. With stats like that, it's crazy to think he didn't make All-Pro. And it just goes to show how deep the edge rusher talent pool is on either it's defensive end or outside linebacker in a 3-4. Next up, although his numbers aren't the same, it's kind of hard to put Khalil Mack still as that guy when you go and you look at his previous years before that. Yeah, he returned back to form, but at the same time, he had 6 sacks, 8 sacks, and then he jumps to 17 again. So Aiden Hutchinson, who I think is coming into his own, going into his 3rd season, 11.5 sacks, 9 tackles for loss, 3 pass deflections, and 2 fumble recoveries, but also spearheading a very young team on defense as well. And so I think that in the end, projecting for this year, this is a ranking going into the season. I'm going to put him, and I feel comfortable putting him at 9 over Khalil Mack. Next up at 8, I got Hassan Reddick. Really, when it comes to you go through the last 4 or 5 years, there's nobody that's been more consistent in him than him. It's really hard to find. I think within the last 2 years, I think one person has more sacks than him. At his position, last year he had 11 sacks, 13 tackles for loss, and 1 pass deflection. One of the things, he's a little smaller when it comes to some of the edge rushers that I'm mentioning. And so I want to see how well can he stand up in the run game when it comes to, now he's playing for the New York Jets. So we'll see what happens with that. Another person that moved to the New York, and now he's on with the Giants, Brian Burns. Although his numbers don't quite reflect in the sack column, I think that overall his body of work and what he brings to the table is just a little better. So at 7, I got Brian Burns, 8 sacks, 16 tackles for loss, 2 pass deflections, 1 forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery. I think that his overall game while playing with a team that just hasn't been good the last couple years. Now, Giants, regardless of what you want to say about Daniel Jones, they've had a pretty good defense over the last couple of years. So now adding him to the other side of Kayvon Thibodeau, and then what's my man that play in the middle? Is it Lawrence?
Dexter Lawrence. Lawrence.
Yeah. Now putting Burns, Thibodeau, and Lawrence all on the same front 7 or front 4 is crazy. And so we'll see what happens with that. And then this next one, I'm a little hurt by this one because he should be a Raider. I got Josh Hines Allen. He used to be Josh Allen, added the Hines and hyphenated his last name. Last year, he had 17.5 sacks, 17 tackles for loss, 1 pass deflection, 2 forced fumbles. Somebody that I wanted the Raiders to draft when we had the opportunity to get him in the same draft that we drafted someone else that I'm going to mention on this list as well. But I think he's coming into his own, getting into his prime. But the years that him having this crazy jump is why I don't have him higher. Although his numbers last year, I'd probably say there's maybe 2 people on this list with crazier numbers than him, arguably, maybe 3. Michael Parsons, I got at 5. 14 sacks, 18 tackles for loss, 2 pass deflections, 1 forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery. And I think with him, he's such a crazy athlete that, his ability to rush the passer. I know they say, I don't think he's as bad as they try to make it seem when it comes to the stopping the run, which is why I don't have him as high as some of the other guys. I feel like the other guys just don't really have as many holes in their games as he does. I know he's not as strong in the run game as, say, a Max Crosby, Nick Bosa, or TJ Watt, even Myles Garrett. So that's why I got him at 5. Next up, I got my guy, Max Crosby. Like I mentioned and alluded to earlier, we should have Allen on one side and Max Crosby on the other, but it is what it is. The cards fell where they may. The person we drafted is not even on our team anymore. And honestly, I'm not. Is he still in the league?
Yeah, he's on the Commanders.
And so Max Crosby, 14.5 sacks, 23 tackles for loss, 2 pass deflections, 2 forced fumbles, 1 fumble recovery, crazy motor, is always top 3 in QB hits and pressures. And I just think that he's going to continue to keep getting better and better. We'll see if the young fellow we drafted is able to at least give us something on the other side to where you're not able to just key in on him. And now with us having, Christian Wilkins?
Yeah, Christian Wilkins.
Yeah, well, now with us having him in the middle, it should open things up a little bit for him. So we'll see what happens going into this season. Nick Bosa had a little bit down year when it comes to the sack number, but just his body of work and what he's still able to do today is why I got him at 3 over Max Crosby. But 10.5 sacks, 15 tackles for loss, 4 pass deflections, 2 forced fumbles, 1 fumble recovery. And I just think that what he's able to do from the moment he stepped foot in the league, second year tears his ACL, comes back, it has 2 phenomenal years, has the Defensive Player of the Year award, got his big contract, and is living up to it, in my personal opinion. And then the following 2, I got them at 2 and 1, but honestly, you can have them at 1A and 1B. I feel like TJ Watt and Myles Garrett are 1A and 1B. I have TJ Watt at 2 and Garrett at 1, just for the simple fact, like me personally, I like that Garrett can be put at a 3-4 edge, defensive end, D tackle, and can stop the run, get to the quarterback in all facets of what you're looking for. And so TJ Watt had 19 sacks, 19 tackles for loss, 1 interception, 8 pass deflections, 4 forced fumbles, 3 fumble recoveries. But Myles Garrett had a heck of a year too, 14 sacks, 17 tackles for loss, 3 pass deflections, 4 forced fumbles, and 1 fumble recovery. So it's like, to me, it's 1A, 1B. I wouldn't even care if you had TJ Watt at 1 and Myles Garrett at 2, but I got Khalil Mack at 10, Aiden Hutchinson at 9, Hassan Reddick at 8, Brian Burns at 7, Josh Hines Allen, used to be Josh Allen, at 6, Michael Parsons at 5, Max Crosby at 4, Nick Bosa at 3, TJ Watt at 2, Myles Garrett at 1.
Okay. It's a good list. I think ours is pretty much the same, but there's 2 on yours that I didn't have on mine. I did not have Brian Burns, and I didn't have Hassan Reddick. I had Danielle Hunter at number 10. And the reason why
he was my honorable mention. I had him at 11.
The reason why I had Danielle Hunter, number 1, he's not great against the run, but as a sack artist, you know what you're getting, right? And he also came from the Vikings, where he was the premier pass rusher. So he had 14.5 sacks the last 3 out of the last 5 seasons. Last year, he had a career high in 16.5. And like I said, he was the premier defender on his defense on the Vikings as far as, as a pass rush specialist. This year, you go to the Texans, where you have Will Anderson on the other one side. And then Danico Autry, who he was suspended for the next 5 games or whatever. But just those 3 alone, and now he's going to see a lot more single coverage. The things that he
Mhm.
can do are just like, where I kind of think a Hassan Reddick is kind of on the downslide of his career, where he's in contract year and the Jets don't want to pay him, and he's not going to go into camp without being paid, and he doesn't know the Jets defense. So I don't like it. I just don't, and that just, and he's turning like what, he's 31. I don't like it.
Yeah.
And then as far as, and then the other one, I didn't have Brian Burns. I had Trey Hendrickson from the Bengals. He's a great pass rusher, again, not great in rush. He had 17 and a half sacks last year. He ranks 10 in pass rush win rate and ninth highest in double team rate. And again, he's on a team where he's the premier pass rusher and he's getting double teamed a lot. Right. And he's breaking through those double teams with 17 and a half sacks. The only reason why I believe like he might be a little bit underrated is he's not great against the run. But then we seen him in the postseason. He was the guy that, or was it Hubbard that returned to interception? But one of those two returned to interception, and it was the game changing play in the playoffs. I think it was Hendrickson though. I want to say it was Hendrickson, but yeah, outside of that, we have the same list. I just had those two.
And so to go back to the Olympics, we've had some great performances throughout time, while also some great performances in just this Olympics. I'm gonna focus on throughout time, but I'm gonna let you go first and give some praise to some people that's doing their thing this year.
Yeah. So just over time, real quick, because I do want to kind of participate. You got to have Usain Bolt on there. You got to have Michael Johnson on there for me.
Gold shoes, man. When he had them gold shoes,
you got to have Simone Biles. You got to have Michael Phelps. But those are some of the guys. But I think this year, my focus being this year, I want to give a shout out to a lot of the swimmers, man. Like, because you're always looking for like the next Michael Phelps. Who's Michael Phelps, right? Yeah. Just like in track and field, you're always looking for the next Usain Bolt. But this year in track, just in the Olympics, like you look at all the medal count, just the individual medals, a lot of them came from swimmers, right? So in France, Leon Marchard, the French swimmer, has the most individual Olympic medals in this single Olympics with 5. I think 4 gold, 1 silver. And he's won it in the 200-meter breaststroke, the butterfly medley, men's 400 medley, and he has a bronze in the 4x1, right? But 4 gold medals is insane, right? I look at some of the women's swimmers like Molly O'Callaghan and Tori Husk with 4 gold, with a total of 4 gold medals. Tori Husk is more of the 100-meter freestyle person, and Molly is the 200. So had an amazing. Both have 4 gold medals. I think 2 and 2 each, 2 gold and 2 silver, bronze, or mix. Another swimmer was Bobby Fisk. He broke the world record in the long swim race. I want to say, was it 3,300? It's the long swim race, but he broke a world record by miles. Like it was crazy that he broke the world record. Broke that on Sunday. And then I want to go really quick to track and field. Julian Alford, man. For those who don't know about Julian Alford, she won the girls 100-meter dash. She beat Sha'Carri Richardson.
Yeah.
So she's from St. Lucia. She's the first ever person to win a gold medal from St. Lucia. And according to Otto Bolden, who does the commentary, she's basically the mayor, the president now of St. Lucia, right? Like she's gonna get the key to the city. They're naming a school after her, a track and field place after her, a land. They're giving her land. She just won a lot of stuff. And like in those countries, like land and ghosts, that's like foreign currency. She's like the head of St. Lucia now, being the first person ever to win a gold medal. Like, so shout out to her. And Simone Biles won 4 medals, and she did it despite the hate. People hate on her for no reason. They hate on her and her husband for no reason, right? Like, I don't understand where the hate is coming from. Like, she got shit yesterday for bowing down to a friend of hers for losing. Got shit for that yesterday for no apparent reason. She got shit for her husband wearing the gold medal. Uh, like, people
Yeah.
just are angry for her for no reason. And despite all that, despite injury, despite having a down year back in the last Olympics, she rebounded to win 4 medals for our country. That is just so bitter for her for no goddamn reason. I can't even tell you why. You know, we always talk about black love and wanting to have black love be strong, and then you mad at her husband for supporting her. It's like,
Right.
I don't know. What can we do?
Right.
And the last person was Noah Lyles. You know, Noah Lyles called his shot. You know, feel how you want to feel, his arrogance, his cockiness, the nail polish, whatever, the flamboyantness. But he did what he said he was going to do, and he's going for the double. And he's going to try to be the first American to win the double. And I don't know the stat of how long, but it's the first in a long time. So by winning the double, he has to win that 200, which he told he can win the 200 because that's been his best race. So, you know,
Right.
if he does win the double, you know, he by far might be the best American athlete, despite what NBA fans feel about that. So,
Right.
yeah, on him. So, yep.
And
Those are
so
my performers.
And so to keep it moving, I got everybody that you mentioned. Someone that I wanted to give big praise to, which is kind of ironic because throughout the majority of his NBA career, I just wasn't that much of a fan of him. But I feel like Kobe Bryant should get some love when it comes to the Olympics because of him coming to the Team USA and playing for them changed a lot of the culture from 2004 to 2008 to 2012 to where we have it today. And so, like, moments like him running through Pau Gasol's chest is just a tone setter and what he was able to do for the sport, growing the sport, but also setting the culture for Team USA is one of the things for me why I got Kobe in as one of my favorite Olympians that I've personally seen, while also with Michael Phelps, what he was able to do, 23 gold medals. I think he had 23 gold medals or 23 medals. Usain Bolt and what he was able to do was crazy. Just being able to be that, because I got it wrote down here. So Usain Bolt had 8 gold medals. Michael Phelps did have 23 gold medals. And Simone Biles has 7 gold medals. So what they were just able to do while also being versatile, not just dominating one event, being able to dominate multiple events within the same sport is just nothing short of phenomenal. Being, like Noah Lyles said, being the best in the world at what you do and not just in your country, in your city, in your state. So shout out to them. But to keep it moving,
Katie Ledecky too. I want to say shout out to Katie Ledecky too.
Oh yeah, I did see that name when I was looking, when I was doing my research. And so, my man Jaden Daniels announced as QB1 for the Commanders, which leads me to which NFL rookie do you most look forward to seeing this season?
Besides, Jaden Daniels, besides Caleb Williams, obvious the quarterbacks, but this has been a big wide receiver year for draft. And I want to see how all the wide receivers pan out with it being like the phenomenal wide receiver year. So you got to go with, the Marvin Harrison Jr.'s of the world, the Malik Neighbors of the world, the Roma Dunzeys, the 49ers wide receivers about to get traded. So the kid that they just drafted, Ricky Pershaw, I want to see how he does filling in, for Brandon Ayuk. You got Keon Coleman, from Buffalo.
He's somebody I really look forward to. He's on my list.
He's going to end up being a number 1 wide receiver. Fantasy football, if you guys need a wide receiver in fantasy football, I'm definitely looking. I already drafted him in one of my leagues. And then Xavier Leggett, too, is a guy I think is going to end up being a number 1 wide receiver, too.
Bro,
so it's just.
I love hearing him talk, bro.
I love hearing Keon Coleman talk, too, bro. Like, they so country, bro. So country. Bro, did you see the contract? Real quick, just joke. Did you see Keon Coleman signing the contract? He asked how he should autograph.
Yeah. they both just entertaining, bro. Like
country,
Xavier Leggett, he sound like Buddy from Waterboy.
for the water boy.
He just sound like he's saying one long word, but it's
like
a
one
whole
paragraph.
sentence.
Like it's a run-on sentence. But yeah, bro, like I just want to see how all the wide receivers go. I want to see how Brock Bowers, fits with the Raiders as well. Like it's just all the pass catchers. I'm really just interested in seeing like what the pass catchers do.
100%, 100%. Yeah, I get that. I feel like some of the things that I've seen, like from Xavier Worthy, as far as training camp, has me like, oh, I've seen him have some drops, but at the same time, when I remember watching the draft with some of my friends, and I was just like, bro, when the Bills traded that spot to the Chiefs and they took him, it was like, man, here we go with this again, bro. Like, I'm not trying to see this. So I'm like, at the same time, but then I'm like, all right, then now as a Raiders fan, it's like, oh, he dropping passes. He gonna fit in right with them with the people from last year. So like, I'm kind of curious to see what happens with him. I definitely want to see where my man's at. I actually somebody I didn't really have on the list, and then like until I'm seeing the name is the guard that we drafted.
Oh, Jackson
in the
Howard
second
Johnson?
round.
Yeah, Jackson.
Yeah,
Powers.
I want to see how he gets integrated to the team and how well he does. I've been talking about Marvin Harrison Jr. for the past couple years, so I want to see how well he does. And so I think that like Trey Benson, Marvin Harrison being added to that young core, how well can Kyler Murray mesh with that and see what they can do with that? What was my man that played for was it Latutu or
Leonta Latu?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my guy. That's my
I'm
rookie.
very
That's
much looking forward to like the more I watch tape on
my
him, the more excited I was getting for him. That was actually honestly who I before I wanted us to get him.
Yeah, he went to the Colts. Yeah, I said I didn't care where he was going. He was my defensive rookie of the year. He to me reminds me of like Jason or Phillips from the Dolphins and Sean Merriman.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's bro. I said I didn't care where he went. He was my rookie of the year. But I actually like where Dallas Turner went too.
Oh yeah. 100%. I actually really like Dallas Turner. That's really like the fact that he fell so far. I was just like, "Ooh, we got to get him now that he's available." And then so wait, hold up, press the wrong one. All right, there we go. So Hall of Fame game just passed up. Who are some people, or who are you most happy for making the Hall of Fame?
I want to say Devin Hester, but I'm gonna like not go Devin Hester. Steve McMichael. I don't know like if y'all like seen the Hall of Fame, but Steve McMichael is battling ALS, and we don't know how much time he has left on Earth. So the fact that he got a chance to get his flowers, and be surrounded by the people who loved him and be honored in the Hall of Fame was really, really dope to see. And it was a really, really dope moment that the NFL gave him that, because a lot of the times it's when athletes pass away, like they wait too long to get in the Hall of Fame. Like we've witnessed this as Raiders fans with Kenny Stabler, like waited till that man passed away and died and he couldn't give a speech. And when it comes to deceased players, they don't really give them that long to be celebrated. They just, show a little video package and then cut it off, or give like a speech or two. I had the pleasure of, being friends with Junior Seau's nephew. He was like our best football player on our team. He was like one of my best friends in college. And like the year his uncle made it, the way they did his family was foul, so it's like a lot of times with deceased people, like they don't give them like their time. So the fact that Steve McMichael is still alive and he was able to wear his jacket and be, surrounded, even though like I don't know if he could hear it or see it because his ALS is like really, really bad. But the fact that the moment just exists and his family got to spend it with him was dope, So really happy for Steve McMichael. But I do want to definitely say Devin Hester too, because of the position he played, special teams, like it's good seeing returners being honored because they say that's a part of football. And with these new special team rules to heighten the return, like the best return man ever being rewarded, when you don't see people who came before him like Brian Mitchell ever get their flowers as return men, or like a Josh Cribbs or a Dante Hall, so to actually see one of a returner that didn't really play wide receiver, that didn't really play cornerback, make the Hall of Fame is dope to see. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree, man. I agree. Devin Hester, his effect on the game, it's just like that Cardinals game when Dennis Green was like, "Oh, we let him off the hook," and it's like little stuff like that. It's just like they didn't score any offensive points, but Devin Hester with a punt return, a kick return, defensive interception, and now we win the game. And it's like little stuff like that was like
Rex Grossman was the quarterback that got into the Super Bowl,
And then honestly, in that Super Bowl, there was I don't remember if it was a kick return or a punt return, but they called it back. And it's like if you go back and watch the tape, there's a phantom holding call out of nowhere that they call, and it's like there was no holding on this play. So he really should have had 2 touchdowns in the Super Bowl. And it's just like his effect on the game, regardless of him just being a punt returner, kick returner, and then just a gadget guy. I feel like, one, he was before his time when it came to the style of wide receiver that he was, but also what his effect on the game as a punt returner, kick returner. But then for me, I probably say the most happy I am is Andre Johnson. I just feel like Andre Johnson is someone that was like his talent at wide receiver. He wasn't very loud and showboaty. He was just very quiet, brought his lunch pail and went to work every Sunday. And his combination of size and speed, while also being able to route you, go over to like being able to take the top off the defense, and just being that guy for the Houston Texans before, like I know now, like we got CJ Stroud and there's aspirations of them even possibly winning the AFC. But when he played, he was there from day one with David Carr, and what he was able to do with that team and just his combination of size and speed, bro. Like, it just can't be. So I'm happy for him in the end. But also, next up, to look forward to next year, I'm looking at next year's class. There's Eli Manning, Luke Kuechly, Marshall Yanda, Marshawn Lynch, Terrell Suggs, T. Sizzle, Darren Sproles, Joe Staley, and Aqib Talib, to name a few. But who is someone that you would like to see in the Hall next?
Yeah, so judging off the first ballot list too, like Marshawn Lynch is a guy to me that this is the moment that I've kind of been waiting for, right? Because are they going to Terrell Owens him, right? Where it's like Marshawn, like anybody who watched Terrell Owens play knew he was a first ballot Hall of Famer, but the reason why he wasn't first ballot is because he didn't get along with the media. And so it's like with Marshawn Lynch, I wondered the same thing, because anybody who watches the game of football knows Marshawn Lynch is a first ballot Hall of Famer. But the fact that he didn't get along with the media, are they going to snuff him based off of him not getting along in the media? So definitely Marshawn Lynch. And somebody like Eli Manning to me jumps out, because I don't necessarily think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, but the fact that he's a Manning and he did have 2 Super Bowls and he did beat Tom Brady in those 2 Super Bowls, I feel like it's going to be enough to say that he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. But to me, if Kurt Warner wasn't a first ballot Hall of Famer, Eli Manning's not a first ballot Hall of Famer. And Kurt Warner's a better quarterback than Eli Manning. 100%. Luke Kuechly, I think, is definitely going to be first ballot. I think Terrell Suggs is definitely another guy that's intriguing on his list too. When we talk about special teamers who's going to be on this list, is Adam Vinatieri. He's going to be first ballot too, and it's just because everything Adam Vinatieri did and his clutch moments, in the playoffs in the Super Bowl,
he deserves a statue in New England.
And his statue in New England, does that make him a first ballot, or is he going to wait a while? And then as far as guys that have waited for so long that I would like to see get in, Reggie Wayne and Torrey Holt both come to mind. Both have airy similar stats, 8 straight 1,000-yard seasons. Reggie Wayne, 14,345 yards, 84 touchdowns. You got Torrey Holt, 920 catches, 13,382 yards. I want to see Eric Allen from the Raiders, former Raiders and Eagles cornerback, make it. I want to see Fred Taylor make it.
Freddie T is my boy, man. That's my guy that I'm like he's who I was gonna mention. He deserves to be in the Hall, bro. He was cold.
It's the accolades. I feel like for Fred, he only had like one Pro Bowl or something like that, and I think that's what kind of like snuffs, like kind of like where they don't look at it. But yeah. I think those are some of the guys that come to mind. But I think of the first ballot people that I think will make first ballot, I think Luke Kuechly for sure. I think Terrell Suggs. I think Terrell Suggs. I think Terrell Suggs for sure. And I think it's going to be a fight between Eli and Marshawn. And
I definitely think that sucks.
And I think Marshawn is like a no-brainer, like 1,000% no-brainer. But the fact that he didn't talk to a media, and the fact that Terrell Owens didn't talk to the media, and I saw that's why Terrell Owens wasn't first ballot when clearly he was. I feel like that's the only thing that's going against a Marshawn Lynch. And Eli Manning is Eli Manning. So it's like,
I feel like Manning, with just the name Manning, and then what he was able to do, winning 2 Super Bowls, going up against the GOAT,
and the undefeated team too,
and the undefeated team, 2-0 against the GOAT in a Super Bowl, and one of them was an undefeated team. There's special moments, but also it's just like that Manning name. In the end, I feel like it's gonna get him in. Although I personally just don't think. I honestly don't have him as a Hall of Famer, to keep it a buck with you. But that's just me. I also don't have Julian Edelman as a Hall of Famer, although I know what he was able to do in the playoffs. But just as a regular season,
he's not.
I just
if
don't
Wes
see
Welker's not a Hall of Famer, he's not a Hall of Famer.
On God.
And Wes Welker was better than him.
Oh, 100%. And so with the time we got left, we got some off tops. And so this one is something that I brought up and I wanted to talk about because, one, I saw it when it happened, when Kobe passed, how many people were posting and sharing things that just weren't true. Then we have situation where I believe her name is Imane Khelif or Imane Khelif, Algerian female boxer who has had some issues or testing issues where she tested with higher levels of testosterone. And if you've ever heard, I know it's not something that happens all the time, but there are some rarities where women are born that they have periods, they have the ability to conceive and produce children, but also they produce testosterone. And so to have this many people, and I think for me, the most disappointing thing was not that it was like Lamar Jackson, J.K. Rowling's, but it was like the Piers Morgans, the other media people, that all it took was for you to do 30 seconds of research and you'll see what the situation was. Then if you did an extra minute and 30 seconds of research, you'll see what the whole picture was. And it's like, you would have saw that she competed in the 2020 or 2024 games in Beijing, lost to the gold medal winner, has a 9-5 record.
That's why I was laughing.
And it's like, if we really cared that much, you would have just done, like, why didn't we care when it was back in Beijing? Why didn't we care when she was fighting other people? And it's just like this selective outrage that we're in. I hate it. I hate the fact that people are pushing agendas and trying to use her in order to push the agenda. And then it's like I'm having conversations with like one of my homegirls, and she's like, "Oh, well, what would you do if it was your daughter?" And it's just like, I don't want to get disrespectful, but if you seen the clip, Shorty got punched.
She got
one
punched
time
and cried.
Turned around, looked at her corner, was like, "Yo, I'm straight. I'm good." And it's like,
right,
baby girl, you gotta fight. Get out there and fight. Bob and weave, get them hands up, like adjust to who you're fighting and what you're doing. And that's for me is where I can't get behind a lot of the stuff that's going on, all the crying. I was trying to do this for my dad, but it's just like that's an embarrassing showing. And then for you to be they're using this and using you to spearhead this hatred and bullying toward this girl that she has a 9-5 record going into this Olympics. do some research. And that's the thing for me. And I'm gonna get off it, let you speak your piece, but people just got to do some damn research.
You're absolutely correct. And here's the thing too, like in the midst of like Skip Bayless being fired, like it was people like him and like Stephen A. Smith to me that like I'm not blaming them for this situation, but I kind of do because I watched them every day on TV make up sources about people. Like Jaylen Brown, the whole Jaylen Brown thing, a source told me that he's this. Who told you this? You be making up sources live on national television. You make shit up to like defame somebody because you don't want to stand behind your comments about somebody, so you make things up, right? And we see it all the time. It's either we want something to fit our narrative so bad, right, that we don't do our research. We like the whole Kobe thing that you mentioned. Like, I still want to know how the hell Rick Fox got on that plane. I want to know how Robert Horry got on that plane. Like, it's stuff like that. And then when you get your news off of social media, how dangerous that was. What if Rick Fox's kid saw that and was like, oh my God, right? You know, like
100%,
it's irresponsible, number one, but then it comes from like platforms such as ESPN. It comes from platforms such as these high ranking things that where we go get our news. And then when you report something so wrong and so insensitive, it makes it like, what? You know what I'm saying? Making up sources to fit a narrative. You don't like certain people, so I'm going to do this to fit my narrative. It's like, do you want to fit your narrative so like to me, I'd rather get something 100% correct than to be wrong about something, right? Like I'd rather be and I think we're in a day and age where we want to be the first person to get something out to the news, that we rather be the first than to be the correct, you know? And I think that becomes the problem with the media, is they rather be the first to report something than be incorrect. Stephen A. Smith so many times has reported Kevin Durant was supposed to be a Laker like 6 times because of something that Stephen A. Smith reported. It was wrong. And we never check his source. Never. But all of a sudden, when he says something, it's supposed to be right. You've been wrong more than you've been right, my guy. Like, seriously, you've been wrong more than you've been right. So it's like, who are your sources? You know what I'm saying? And it's like, why do we continue to look at you as a resource?
Right. 100%. And so to stick with boxing and what we're talking about, I'm going to let you go off for a couple minutes. Terrence Crawford gets the dub. So what's next for him?
Yeah, so for those who did or didn't watch the fight, he became a champion in 4 different weight divisions on Saturday, where he beat Ismail Madrimedov for the 154-pound title. And being, you know, it was a good fight. You know, it wasn't a fight that Terrence Crawford was totally dominant in. I think moving up in weight age had something to do with it. And the guy's style, Madrimedov, was a tough style to fight. But he was able to control the fight with his jab. Now the question is, what's next? He said he wanted Canelo Alvarez, right, to fight next. Today, Turki Ashiki, the guy who is the money man, the Dana White, as you will, in boxing now, basically said that he's no longer interested in making the Canelo Alvarez fight because Canelo Alvarez asked for $150 million to fight Terrence Crawford. And he doesn't want to fight David Benavidez. He's getting ready to fight Edgar Berlanga, who's an absolute pack. An absolute pack with a good record, but he's a pack with a good record. And I think that Canelo's more interested in making money and padding his resume and not and taking the safe fights, where I feel like Terrence Crawford at 36 wants those huge money fights. And the money fights that exist for him right now is Canelo. He already said that he's not going to fight. He's not going to fight Earl Spence. So you're kind of looking at a Tim Tszyu, right? But Tim Tszyu's not a champion. We need Tim Tszyu to win a belt. You're kind of looking at what's his name? Sebastian Fundora, the 154-pound champion. Like you're kind of looking at that. He was supposed to fight Earl Spence in October. Earl Spence is not going to fight him because of his body. Just said he couldn't fight him. Earl Spence's side didn't come out and say that, but that's just been the talk of the boxing community. So it looks more and more likely that we could actually see a Terrence Crawford versus Sebastian Fundora if Canelo doesn't want to come to the table. We've heard Boots, his name, like Jaron Boots Ennis at 147, or even coming down to 154. It doesn't seem like Terrence Crawford is too interested in fighting Boots, and I don't know from either side. But it's either, for me, it's either belt, trying to fight for another belt to unify to 154, Canelo, or retirement. Because I don't think that he has he doesn't have a very long future in boxing just because of his age and just having all the big fights. I got to keep moving up, and I don't know if he wants to continue doing that to his body. So it's really the big money fights and the unification belts. That's next round, honestly.
Yeah, I feel you. I think like just even I haven't been as big in the boxing. The higher he moves up in the weight, the less I know about that weight class. And so I feel like there's not that many people. I don't know why he don't want to fight Boots or why that fight's not happening. I feel like it's just some of the same things of the promoters in the way, and then the money in the way, and then the way that people don't want to do the split and things of that such. It's just so annoying. I would love to see that type of fight. I wish we were in a day and age where people just fought who was next and who was the hottest guy at that moment. And so it sucks. It is what it is, but we're gonna see what happens next with him. While I still got the time, I want to give some shout outs. We brought him up before. Shout out to Noah Lyles, now the fastest man in the world. It hasn't been done by an American since 2004. I want to send a shout out to the women's 303 team, although it's not built for the Americans, I guess you could say, in a way, because we have so much talent out here, but still being able to get the bronze. To a certain degree, I wish that we had like just a little bit higher level of talent in those games. I know that majority of our talent was in playing for the 5-on-5 team, but I still would have liked to see a little bit better talent, higher level of talent playing in those games. But shout out to them. Shout out to Noah Lyles. Shout out to Simone Biles, three golds, 1 silver, and what she was able to do. Any shout outs before we get to the Julius Randle?
No. You kind of covered it.
For sure. So with the success that the Knicks had in this past playoffs, now adding Mikal Bridges, should the Knicks trade Julius Randle?
Nah, I don't think so. I think that Julius Randle, he's a very underrated piece. The only problem with Julius Randle is he doesn't stay healthy. But if he stays healthy, he's a walking 20 and 10, and he's a piece that the Knicks need, and my question always is, if you're going to trade Julius Randle, what are you going to get, right? Because who else fits that billing? Who else can you get that can average a 20 and 10, who's an all-star at his position, right? There's not a lot. Julius Randle's not old. He's still in his, good late 20s, early to mid to late 20s. And there's just nobody else that you can honestly get, all the other guys that are probably available in trade, like that you're looking at, is Lauri Markkanen, pretty much the same position you're looking at, or small forward. Brandon Ingram's a small forward. So it's like he's that one guy, that piece that you need. Right. So I don't understand why you would trade him, and I don't understand what you would get for him if you did try to trade him. So I would keep him. And then there's Jeremy Grant too, and he's better than Jeremy Grant. So yeah.
Right. Yeah, I agree, man. I think that the one thing is what you need, unless you're trading him for a position that you need, it's like, what 5 are you really going to get that's as good as Julius Randle? And I just don't feel like what they specifically need. I feel like Mikal Bridges should not be playing the 4, even though it's 4 of them from Villanova. I just don't think that all 4 of them should be in your finishing lineup. So I feel like it should be 3 of them, and then Julius Randle and whatever 5 that you're going to go with. They should have tried to do more to keep Hartenstein. And for me, it's just like I just don't see it. I don't see the point in trading him. I feel like now there needs to be a conversation of like, hey, this is what we were able to do without you. We bring in Mikal Bridges to add to this. Now this is what we want and expect the lineup to look like and what we would like from you to add to what we have and what we bring. And I feel like in the end, I feel like they can still do some damage in the East now with the moves that the Sixers made. I'm not sure if they can beat the Sixers if the Sixers are healthy, but also with the Celtics, and we'll see what happens with Milwaukee. I still see them at 4 or 5 in the East in the end. But I am kind of curious to see what happens when you throw the ball in the air. What happens in the end? And so the last time we got left, I was sitting here thinking about my Bulls. We draft a young kid from the G League Ignite. What was his name?
Montez Buzelis.
Yeah, he cold, bro. I definitely was very impressed with him. He's somebody that I want to see get minutes right away. But in the end, it's like, all right, if we're gonna try to get off of Zach LaVine, we got to get off of Vooch in the end as well. What pieces and what direction do we go in when it comes to building a team, and what pieces should we have?
What did
I'm
you guys
still holding on to the fact of
what did you guys get for DeMar DeRozan?
We didn't really get much. I don't remember, man. I know it wasn't anything crazy. Let me look.
While you look, I'll talk real quick. But the thing that irritates me about the Bulls is like the piece that you guys need all along, you get after the team is over, right? Like Lauri Markkanen was the perfect piece to this current Bulls roster, but he didn't develop yet. And in the moment he developed, he became that perfect piece. And then it's like you draft that perfect piece with Buzelis. Now the team is broken up. It's like it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense to me, like how the Bulls operate. But I kind of look at what they have. I like Buzelis. I like Patrick Williams. I even like Josh Giddey. I don't like Josh Giddey on the Thunder because his rookie year, Josh Giddey was nice, right? And I don't know if whether or not the whole allegations of last year kind of got on him or whatever, but I just think that the more that Shea became more ball dominant, the less need it was for Giddey because Giddey is more of a ball dominant player and he's not really a shooter. I think that Josh Giddey will give you what you guys wanted in LaMelo. But LaMelo or not LaMelo, I'm sorry, Lonzo. What you guys wanted in Lonzo. But Lonzo just could never be healthy. But I just think that Josh Giddey is a good piece. I think that a lot of people tried to say the Bulls didn't do well in that trade. To me personally, how I built teams, I'm taking them every day of the year over Alex Caruso because Alex Caruso is a luxury person on a winning team.
Yeah.
And in a rebuilding 100%. Team, you want the younger player that has the potential. And he was a number 7 overall draft pick. So it's that has averaged 16 and 8 in the league, so that's not a bad pick at all. So I would build around him because you got a good young guard. See if you can get a young you got Buzelis. That's a good little pick and roll.
I would say him, Buzelis, keep Kobe White, trade Zach and Vooch and see what 3s and 4s you can get. Yeah. And then at that point, build around that for the foreseeable future because then you got Pat, you got Dallin Terry, Io.
You know who I would trade for if I were you?
You said what?
I would trade for DeAndre Ayton if I was y'all. Portland does not need him. Like they just drafted old boy from Kyng, and then they got Robert Williams. They have no need for DeAndre Ayton. Y'all have a need for DeAndre Ayton.
Yeah. I feel that 100%. But we'll see what happens. But thank you all for watching. It's been a pleasure. Stay tuned. I got 2 episodes coming every week, so I'll be releasing another episode. That episode will not be live on Friday, but like I said before, like, subscribe, comment, share. Subscribe on YouTube, Juke Media, Joint Universal Creatives as well. You can follow us at Juke Sports Show on Instagram. So follow and like the Facebook page, the He Say She Say channel. Follow me on all platforms at KYNGRALPH and add an underscore for X or Twitter. And on August 15th, we get the W is back. And so, like I always end my podcast, love, peace.